harness racing Australia game for all, where you get to do all the driving. Fantasy Harness Racing, live across Australia on SEN Track.
Always save your life for the children. Always save your life for the children.
Welcome to Fantasy Harness Racing Show. Get involved with us, 0499 736 736. Particularly if you know what that track is, I'll give you a bit of a hint. The Commissioner has joined us, first and foremost, Mr. Cochrane. How are you, mate?
G'day, Toby. Good to have you back in the sunny state, mate.
Yeah, been a busy couple of weeks, up and down and backwards and forwards. But
I'm surprised you're still intact with what you've been through.
Yeah, there's been some eventful and robust discussion at the road shows that I've been doing, and we've got another one tonight at Penrith, and I don't think they'll let me down on the robust discussion at Penrith.
Well, the beauty is, Toby, you've had a couple of weeks of letting people have their voice. Now you get to have your voice for an hour. So
yeah.
This is your reprieve.
Well, let's not go into the nitty-gritty of ratings. I know some people have seen it twice and they're coming again for a third time tonight. Wow. So it mustn't be the worst show of all time.
Gee.
But I'd rather watch the Titanic.
Blockbuster.
And the poor Brett Scully and Reedy have been going around night by night. They're doing well to stay awake through it because they've heard it now 7 times.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go.
Anyway. If you're about in Sydney or anywhere near Penrith or Goulburn, you've got 2 nights to get to the road show. Now, let's talk fantasy harness racing. There's a lot we're going to get through. We're going to catch up with Taylah Osmond, who's a pretty good value player for those that are looking maybe to do a double trade in New South Wales, trade someone up to Luke McCarthy and trade someone down. I think she's a good bench player anyway.
She's been good for the first 2 years of the game. She's been, it's obviously the goalposts have moved a little bit on what how Taylor fits into the scheme of the tracks and that, but she's been a really, really solid fantasy player for the first 2 seasons.
If Wagga was in, she'd be a real option, but anyway, that's not the case. Well, it is sometimes in, but it's not a weekly in. And Chris Elford's going to join us as well, and I think he's a little bit more excited about Miss Ari in the Oaks than what some people might realise as well. So we'll bury into that with Puppet. He's got a funny drive. He's got a drive. Well, not a funny drive. He's got a drive on a horse called Commodus at Ballarat. Should just win, right? And it's a funny horse in the sense that how many trotters have Jane and Noel Alexander had over the journey? And off the top of your head, I don't reckon you could think of one.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, we'll ask Puppet. He'll know.
And you'd know.
Oh, I can remember Truscott Steele. They had it for a while. Yeah. Noel had a lot of trotters in the 80s, but I couldn't name any of them now. I reckon he had nearly more trotters than paces back then. But then once he got that association with the Golden Reins and tailor-made Lombos, it was just a pace factory coming out of there.
It'll be good to pick his brain on those ones then.
Yeah, we'll see if Puppet can name any of them. He's pretty good, Puppet, when you say this stuff. I missed something once. I named 5 out of 6 or something, and he was banged straight onto the 6th. Don't you worry. Now, some questions for you. Nathan Dawson. What do we do with Nathan this week?
Well, look, I think if you're like me, you traded him out a couple of weeks ago when he had that New Zealand trip.
Do we bring him back?
I'm not. I just think, what did he score? Like he scored, 18 points or something last week? Which says that, and he dropped 200 grand in cash, which means that'll happen again. I
think so.
Even if he was to, put up close to 3 figures, I think the likelihood is he drops in price yet again, based on the way that works. And the reality is, well, we're trying to get some clarity out of him, but
I've texted him. He hasn't got back to me.
Yeah, so he's listed to be for 1 drive at Menangle on Saturday and only a handful on Saturday night at Albion Park. So either way, like his quantity is down, the volume of racing's down. So look, I think he'd be brave to take him on, but I'm going to for another week. He'll be back in my team within a fortnight, no doubt about it. But I think I'm going to take him on this week. I mean, Queensland's looking pretty good for me. I've got McMullen and Garrard and Dixon and Sanderson. So I've sort of got 4 heavy hitters sitting there anyway.
I've got the same 4.
Yeah. So
Do you think the fact he hasn't texted me back shows where we are in our relationship? I think it's rocky.
Cloak and dagger are racing, you know. Yeah, I mean, I think the trade scenario is fascinating this week because, you know, obviously we gave people the 3 trades last week and, you know, for a really solid reason. But it shakes up what team formats kind of look like and that. So I think Nathan is probably central to that. And then there's a couple of key New South Wales drivers, I think, that are key to the conversation given the 5 bonus point races that are up for grabs at Menangle on Saturday.
Luke? You got Luke?
Yeah, well, and that's kind of where my thinking's going a little bit. We just know how much Luke stands up when it comes to, you know, group racing at Menangle. He turns up. And when you've got bonus points on the line, he doesn't actually need, if he pulls a couple of results, he doesn't actually need the massive volume of racing that, you know, that would rely on a Penrith and a Newcastle, those race meets. You might get away with getting what you need on the Saturday night with those bonuses. So Luke's in the consideration plans for me. But then, you know, is it the week to say, well, do you have neglected South Australia or Tassie and maybe throw them 2 trades and trying to lift them up and, you know, really set yourself up for a good chance to, you know, have points coming at you, you know, everywhere. And let's not discount the value in Tasmania, given that, you know, that's a big race meeting on Sunday in Launceston. There's bonus points up for grabs. So maybe, that could be the strategy.
If you haven't got Rowan Hadley, he's the one. I tried to tell you, we'll probably win the Launceston Mile. It'll be the favourite in that race. We had him on a few weeks ago. He spoke really highly of that horse, really, really highly, and he's an understated man. So if you're looking at upgrading in Tassie, that's the way to go. But
Rowan Hillier's the way.
Yeah. I said Hadley, didn't I? Rowan Hillier, sorry. Sorry, Rowan.
That's his brother.
Yeah, with the same first name. Now, the real big question, though, is Gary Hall Jr.'s gone fishing. Yeah. Now, I'm lucky. I've got a good emergency Emily Savelko, who's really cheap and has not a bad book of drive. So I can just bench Junior and bring in Emily. But I think that's going to cause, particularly at the pointy end of the competition, some real headaches with what they do with Junior.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm looking at there is what you do with that utility, that reserve that sits in Wassat, because, you know, if you cop the 0 for Junior without making the trade, you can probably, you know, if you had a West Australian sitting there, actually, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter who it is. So as long as you've got someone that's generating points there in that spot, and that might be the chance to, you know, put someone there, and then next week, someone who's, you know, say like a Rowan Hillier, swap him out. So if at the moment for me, it's Lindsay Harper sitting there.
So do you swap Harper out, Hillier in, and then use Hillier for Gary Hall?
Yeah, and I mean, I've got basically on the back of a couple of, you know, big price tag drivers that have moved out of my team in the last few weeks. I've got close on 1.5 mil sitting there to play with. Maybe it could be that a mil goes on Lindsay Harper's head, turns him into Rowan Hillier. Next week he slots over, and you know, maybe that could be a play. But you know, I'd be hesitant to trade out Gary Hall Jr. because, you know, this is probably just a one-off. Yeah, he's just, the radar's popped up and said they're biting. Get out there.
He's had a few good weeks. He's a jet, isn't he? Now, weekly winner was Boyle Over. We've had him on before. So
good man, Rob.
Yeah, he's a great man, Rob. But the big part about him winning it, he's moved within 1 point of Michael Manning. It's really tightened up.
It's not that far from third to first either.
No, 122 points. Yeah. Larry and Harry's back. What a fill-up. Had a good round. He was on the private tweets with me, and he thought he was a fair chance for the round. He had a great round. He just didn't quite get there, and he'll be cruising around the next few weeks. You'll know what I'm talking about. Mix 70 has dropped back to 5th. Double point races. WA's got the 4 and 5-year-old championship. SA has the St. Ledger, which is hard because those fields aren't out yet for us to touch on. Tassie we've touched on with the Launceston Mile, and New South Wales is where it's at. The Trotters Oaks and Pink Bonnet are double points, and triple points the QE2, New South Wales Oaks, and the MacArthur Mile. And
plenty of bonus points. Yeah, it's a big round.
I know someone that brought Jason Lee in a couple of weeks ago on the basis that he'd be driving Keegan Zahara, and Glenn Craven's jumped on board. So
Jason was in my team for a little bit there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a name to look out for there on the leaderboard, Chalk Wedge. He'll be listening, Clive, too. He's a mate of mine.
He's in the top 10 somewhere. I haven't got it in front of me.
Look, I can't speak on behalf of other players, but I can tell you there's no greater student of the fantasy game of we've got, and he's a convert to harness racing on the back of this game. Puts time into it. Hooks me up with some key stats and analytics when I need them. So he's a good man, Clive. He'll be listening to this, and keep an eye out for Chalk Wedge. He might just be a.
Where's he up to?
He's seventh.
He's seventh
overall.
He's
been playing it for a couple of years, so keep an eye out for Clive. He's a good man, and I hope he does well. He's based over in Western Australia, actually. So
yeah, okay. And top 10 come across for the Eureka.
Yeah, they do. So I think that in itself, that's a great price. Top 5 get the flights and the hospitality, and
it's top 5. Yeah,
yeah. So it's but top 10 get the tickets.
Yeah. Tickets, yeah. We want as many as we can, Eureka. Let's get a breakaway. We'll come back. Taylah Osmond on the other side, who's been bopping along.
A harness racing Australia game for all, where you get to do all the driving. Fantasy Harness Racing, live across Australia on SEN Track.
Oh, welcome back to Fantasy Harness Racing. Toby McKinnon and Paul Cochrane are with you, and we're joined by Taylah Osmond. Firstly, Taylah, how are you and whereabouts are you today?
Good, thank you. Just on the way back from Menangle Trials, actually.
Oh, very good. We've caught a few drivers on their way back from Menangle Trials. Did you have one go well? Have you got a tip for us out of the trials over the coming week or so?
It's just a couple ones going around for a bit of a run. Yeah, they were all pretty good.
Now, a bit about you. You're 20 years of age, up to 160 winners. You're in your 6th season of driving and 3rd generation harness racing, or does it go further back than that?
No, just 3. I've been having a good run. Got a couple of wins up now, so it's been real good.
G'day, Taylah. It's Paul. Hey, firstly, well done on your success. I was just saying to Toby at the top of the show, actually, how good you've been through the fantasy game in the first 2 years. But I think, the big challenge for you is that your old man was part of the game for the first 2 years, and now he's not. How's he taking it?
Yeah, look, I've given him a few trial drives. He likes that. No, it's good. We share it around a bit.
I think he walked out with the chest puffed out a little bit more, Scotty, when when he saw the points coming up against his name on the fantasy platform, and then we scrubbed him out because he's not in the races.
He would have thought that was pretty good to start with. He probably doesn't know that now, though. I don't think he knows how to work all that stuff.
One of the great things I remember when we first started, actually, I think it was at one of the little tracks like Coolaman, it must have been Coolaman. It was like a Tamora or a Junee or somewhere like that, Tony. And Taylor's mum and dad come up to me and we're talking about the game and how much they loved it. Is your mum still getting around it?
I'm not sure, actually. She probably did have a team to start with, but I haven't asked her for a while, so I'm not sure. She probably does, though.
Hey, tell us a bit about this weekend, though, Taylah. We sort of try and make sure that we get drivers on that can talk about chances that are going to reap points for people that have got you in their team. What's your thoughts going into this weekend?
Got a pretty good book of drives on Friday at Wagga. I think there's a few that could probably, go close and pick up a few points. Probably think that Bubby to base that I drive a bit. She's drawn wide, but I think she always performs well. I think with the right run, she can. She's probably hard to beat again. Another one that less is more. She won really well last week as well. I think again she can probably run up the top 3 again this week. And then there's a few on Saturday night. I think Boom's in pretty good form at the moment. So I think with the right run again, he can go close.
Well, Wagga, you've got, I think it's 6 drives for 6 different trainers, which is showing really how you're spreading your wings.
Yeah, no, it's been good. A lot of trainers giving me opportunities, so it's really good and, really enjoying it.
And on Saturday night, you're driving where you've been bopping, and was that your best victory so far, that Canberra Cup with him?
Yeah, the Goulburn Cup with him.
Goulburn,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, not that. That's the biggest one so far. Yeah, he's been a good horse to me, so hopefully he can put in a good run again.
Did Sooty Hunt give you a sling for that drive or what?
He sent me a few photos.
A few photos? Telling
Yeah,
photos don't
yeah.
pay bills.
I thought they were the horse.
Well, I didn't have to pay for the photos, so we'll take that.
He takes a good photo. I'll give him that.
He does take a good photo, but let's not pump him up. I'm trying to. He's. I don't know if you've seen Twitter, but he's just put out a picture of me on Twitter.
Trust me, I've seen him on Twitter.
No, he's put some stuff out this morning, so I owe him one now. So make sure. Well, he really should have given you a sling, Taylor. So I'll put a bit more pressure on him about that.
Oh, well, I'll hit him up for that next time.
The Tanya Harris Lady Drivers Invitational race. You must be pumped to be in a race like that.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's the third year I've been invited into it. It's really good. Picked up Brian Portelli's horse, so yeah, it's been racing real well around Penrith, so I can't see why it can't run another good race again on Saturday.
So many big races and such a good cause that's raising money out there this weekend. Taylor, it's got a real sense of theatre and sort of heightened excitement about this weekend's race card, doesn't it?
Yeah, it definitely does. It's going to be a big night, especially with the pink night. So yeah, it's really good. The pants going round. So been a few winners for it already. So hopefully on Saturday there'll be a few more, and that'll be a good night. I
think there's extended coverage on Sky Thoroughbred Central this.
Is there? Yeah.
Too,
yeah.
so,
yeah.
But get out there if you can. Like the weather in Sydney at the moment is beautiful. It's it doesn't last that long from now on until we get into the warmer months. So make the most of it while you can. It's a great night out if you can get trackside there at Menangle while the weather's great. You're going to see elite racing. It's really good. All the big drivers are in action, and I think that ladies race is that's top draw. As you just flagged, that's top draw.
Are Keith and Shelley Cochrane up as well, and they staying at James's? Do they stay there when they come up?
Yeah, I think they're heading up end of the week. They'll be up Thursday or Friday. So.
Oh, I reckon. Yeah, there you go.
They're Philly in the Trotters Oaks. So.
Any chance, or you don't know?
Not sure.
Not sure.
She ran a real good race first up at Shepparton. So yeah, hopefully she goes well again.
They're great people, and they've had a pretty good run and a long association with James, as you have yourself. What are your plans moving forward? You just keep pottering along?
They're real good people.
Yeah, you're going to keep pottering along at James's?
Yeah, sure will be.
Very good.
He's a good man, Jimmy. He does a good job. He's a really astute horseman, and his performances sort of do all the talking for him. He doesn't say a great deal, but his performances certainly speak volumes, don't they? When he's got one under the steer. So, you're in good hands there, Taylor.
Yeah, no, he's definitely does a real good job. He's been really good to me, so yeah, very happy.
We just need him to get more holidays so you get more drives, Taylor.
Yeah, hopefully not that way, but we'll try and get a few more.
Send him to Queensland, or vice versa. You just take a couple over to Queensland during the carnival, maybe.
That'll be nice. I'll stay here in the cold, and I'll keep a few running around here.
Very good. All right, Taylor, we'll let you go. Best of luck over the weekend. You got all those drives at Wagga, a couple for the punters to follow as well, and then Saturday night, hopefully you can get a few points for those that got you in their team.
No, righto. Thanks for having me.
All right, there's Taylah Osmond, who has been really steady, hasn't she, in as a cheap player and a really good bench player if you've had her in there.
I think just a good quality human as well. My interactions with Taylor, over the 4 years or so that I've been in this game, I've seen her sort of grow up a little bit on the side of the track, and to see her skills in the gig, just go on such a steep upward curve is really cool to see. As I said, I referenced the mum and dad there, but she comes from good stock. They're really nice people, raise well, and I wish her every luck. It's great to see.
Yeah, Scott and Kylie, they're just north of Canberra.
Yeah,
I
just
reckon.
around that Canberra way.
It's a funny short word.
Yeah, well, when she talks about the cold, they'd know. So, yeah. So, no, it's great to have her on the show. I think she's a real rising star of our sport.
And Ian, her grandfather, still trains a few winners as well. So she's got a few generations in the sport. And I love it when they, I don't know how to say this, but when they move away as well and get that different experience like she has with James.
Yeah, and James has clearly been a really good guiding hand for her. A guy that, I think so understated as well. He's so humble, and he's been to the top of the tree in this sport.
Well, truly.
Yeah, and he's super humble about it. And
he's kind of by Better's delight, really, isn't he? Really, Barry's pretty good stallion.
Yeah, I mean, so I think if you the Osmond family sending Taylor away to learn the trade a bit more, knowing that you're in pretty good hands with James Rattray and the family, you feel pretty safe and comfortable about that.
12:30 news is upon us. We'll come back. We've got a very short naughty corner, which is nice. I reckon a lot of people will be happy. They should have a full squad. There is a couple missing, but I think most will be happy when we get to the naughty corner.
A harness racing Australia game for all, where you get to do all the driving. Fantasy Harness Racing, live across Australia on SEN Track.
Do you know what it is, Paul?
What's the theme track from the Commissioner, isn't it?
That is the theme track from the Commish.
Yeah, and the reason I know that is because it's my alarm clock every morning, Toby, and I...
Is it really?
No, of course not. When you get to my age, mate, you don't need to set an alarm. You just wake up and it just becomes a natural occurrence.
Tipping your numbers aren't running much higher than mine when you get to your age. I get a bit of stick about my age from various people, but...
they're good at throwing daggers in this game.
Oh, no, not in this game. That's more. We're just friends.
Just
Seems friends.
Oh, that's all right. That's Australia.
Naughty corner. I've only got 3 listed. There is more than that, of course, but Connor Clark. Some may have Connor Clark. Yep. He's out till the 7th of May, so he's back basically this weekend. Ryan Duffy to the 9th of May, which some would have as maybe a bench player, and Corey Johnson comes back on the 9th of May. Now, if everyone's behaving themselves over the weekend, we might have a clean slate, which would be awesome in the naughty corner. I do want to talk captain, and I think you'll pick up what I'm thinking, but I'm not real sure. Herbie. I don't know if he's going to go bananas, but he just might have enough. Pete McMullen's got maybe enough as well. He's in the conversation. There's big bonus races in New South Wales, but do you go Luke McCarthy and back in that like I Keep Smiling wins and you get to get 30 there?
Yeah, I mean with
or
Luke,
60?
like, you're not going to see Luke at Penrith or Newcastle.
No.
So you really chips in, aren't you? If you go that. That's like that leap to fame scenario. Remember at the start of the season, like do you buy Grant in but then you're really banking on that triple point hit. So, I mean, Herbie's in the conversation for me. Look, I was just saying to you in the break, look, I think Pete McMullen has to be in the conversation. He is so consistent up in Queensland. He has volume, he gets winners, he gets it done. He's capable of that pop score, but the line seems to be almost at the top shelf, that 70 kind of 80 mark week on week. It really doesn't dip much below that. Now, if you want to play the safe game, maybe Pete's the way to go. It depends what you're chasing. I remember, like last week, I sat here and said, gee, could you consider Gary Hall Jr.?
Yeah, I
remember.
And he nearly scored the most.
I mean, in one race meet, but geez, it would have been a risky play. And in the end, look, he didn't get the highest score for the round anyway. But I think this decision is so crucial now when we look at that leaderboard, how congested it is, and just those fine margins. We're going to see a lot of, I think, similar teams now that people have a chance to iron it out, particularly with that third trade last week. That has allowed a bit more parity in the way teams are built. So that decision on where those double points go is so crucial.
It is, really. And I think there'll be a mixture this weekend.
Yeah.
I reckon some weeks I'll look at it and I think, well, 80% are going to have X, right? Particularly in the top couple of hundred.
Yep.
But this week I just can't see a clear, and one of those guys coming 5th to 9th might take Luke McCarthy and roll the dice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I doubt it, but
Yeah, but even if he does it, look, geez, he'd almost have to pick up, say, two of those triple point features. That'd get him, a captaincy rate. So that'd get him 60.
So Soho Americano.
You have to win another couple of races to get you the
I keep smiling.
The bang for the buck, I think, to put the captaincy on him. Fair play if you want to do it. You look at Herbie. What he's going to have.
He's pretty
double figure drives.
Yeah, well, truly,
yeah. Say he wins a couple of them. Say he wins 3. Well, there's 60, and then he's picking up. Say he picks up another 10 points. There's another 20. So there's your 80 there. I think that's been relatively conservative. And you can probably say the same thing for, say, like a Robbie Morris. He's going to do your Penrith and your Newcastle, where they do so well. Josh Gallagher's been on an absolute tear of late with what he's been doing in Newcastle and picking up winners at Penrith, and then he seems to be jagging one or two at Menangle as well. So I think I love that there's options, and that was part of why we love the idea of going national, is having options.
Yeah, a lot of options this week for captain. I think I'm Herbie and vice captain Pete McMullen for me. Let's get a breakaway. We'll come back with a guy that someone might even play as captain, Chris Elf.
A Harness Racing Australia game for all, where you get to do all the driving. Fantasy Harness Racing, live across Australia on SEN Track.
Welcome back to Fantasy Harness Racing. The puppet master is not answering the phone, Mr. Cochrane, so it's ringing again. And in fairness to Chris, I've texted him. He's probably thought, it'll be coming from the usual Melbourne number. There's no way Toby will be in Sydney. So he's on the phone to someone else or something along those lines.
Who knows? Hey, I went through the platform yesterday, Toby, and I think it's shopping season.
Shopping season.
Shopping season in the game now. As I sort of said just before the break, I think a lot of teams are getting to the point, particularly the good teams, they're getting to a point where, they're starting to get everyone they want, and then you can start to make, I guess, luxury trades that we call in the business, where you can, trade out someone who's absolutely one of the premiums and bring in another one. So some of the price drops, last week, Dawson down 200.
Yeah.
McMullen went down 200. Cameron Hart, 200 down. Herbertson went down 87. Now, that's probably going to happen again, if not more, this week, because you're going to have scores drop out of the price cycle, and that 39 that he got last week, that'll affect it. McCarthy went down 165. Mark Pitt, he had a great week, 52 points, went down 154. So I guess the point is there's bargains to be had. If you've managed to bank some cash out of maybe some of the trades from last week with the third trade, or you still got a little bit of a kitty sitting there from the Dawson trade a couple of weeks ago, there's a chance to really snap some bargains up. And look, basically it gets built on a several week cycle.
Yeah.
And prices, scores drop in and out. So, like you look at Grant Dixon, and people will say, well, I don't understand. Grant Dixon only got 33 points last week.
But he went up.
But he went up 200 grand. It's because of
the week before.
6 or something he got the week before.
Yeah.
Josh Gallagher, like I said before, he's one of the form point scorers in this game right now. He went up 200K. Robbie Morris went up 200K. We're starting to see, and Look, I wear this a bit of a badge of honour. Some of the rankings that we put drivers in at the start of the year and said this is what we think might happen. They're actually the prices are starting to rank where we thought they might be.
They're reaching their sort of water level that you expected.
I don't know, and I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see more volatility and fluctuations now that we're heading into the winter racing, where you're going to see people, maybe put their feet up for a couple of weeks, might take a little holiday. Take a breather on the getting ready for Queensland. So we see it happen, and I think you're going to see bargains emerge. So the savvy players in this game need to be ready to pounce.
So I'll give you a couple of my bargains, but I'm going right lower. So you might trade out a mid tier or two mid tiers for a premium and that lower. Emily Savelko's one. She probably should average 25 maybe a week, and she's got down to 360 odd thousand.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
so
that's a bargain, isn't it?
she's a bargain. Anthony Butt has got down to 365,000 as well. He's had a little bit of time off. He's got maybe 3 drives at Ballarat.
He's back this week, is he?
He's back this week. 3 at Ballarat. I'm going off the top of my head now. Melton won on Friday night, and he's driving at Melton Saturday night, and he's got a couple of winning chances. I think he's nearly
He drove last week and got 3 points, so he's got a massive big chunk of money about to come off, even what is already a bargain price.
He's got winning chances though, so he could score 25 this week. So for me, I got David Miles, who I bought at 150,000. I'm trading him out at 370, and exactly Anthony Butt's maybe 1,000 cheaper or dearer. 368, right? Yeah. So it's like it's David Miles for Anthony Butt, but I expect Anthony to score more than Milesy. So, and then
he's probably going to drop in price again this week, though.
Anthony
coming off a 3 last week.
Possibly. If he scores,
at 368, you're not exactly.
If he scores 25,
the vault, are you?
If he scores 25, I reckon he may go up. But he'll be a good bench player over and potentially could get up to 700,000 or 800,000 over if he has a good 4 or 5 weeks.
And I think that's what we're going to start to see. People are starting to get to a point now where they've got, say like the 4 or 5 elite drivers that they want on each. Say in New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, they've got to say the 4 elite drivers that they want. So it's like, right, well, let's make sure that reserve just in case.
Is it just in
something
case?
Happens,
yeah.
Or it could be that, look, I've got this one. Don't actually like the book this week, but I don't want to trade them out, so I'm just going to put them on the bench for a week. And that's part of what I'm thinking about New South Wales this week.
And for that trading in and out, I reckon 2 emergencies is an interesting conversation that we'll have in the off season.
2 per line.
2 per line, because you're Jason Lee or an Aaron Dunn or someone that can score. They can have a big week. They're sort of out of the game because you can't waste trades on them. Yep. But, boy, they'd be good bench players.
Yeah. I tell you what, Aaron Dunn sat on my bench for most of the year.
Yeah, well, there you go.
He's been a good little cash gainer, actually. He's, he didn't drive last week, but, he's up to 683, and I think I might have picked him up at around that 200K mark.
So in my mind, right, I would only add maybe $1 million to the budget, and you've got to pick 4 extra players. So they're all you're going to have to pick 4 250s to start with.
Yep.
But don't know whether it'll just change a bit of the mindset around and that bench player become really important because you don't have to trade players out as much. You'll be looking at swapping them.
I mean, I couple a fair bit of noise from people saying you should have more trades, but I think
it's good.
I think only having 2 makes you have to be a bit more selective. And geez, I play the game too. I wish I had an extra trade some weeks. But
you know why 2's the right amount? Because I want 3 every week.
Yeah,
that's why 2's the right amount.
I'm at a point. How many weeks are we in? We're 15 weeks in, and I feel like I've got pretty much what I want or close to it in Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria. So now I go, I'm still 15 weeks in and I still haven't kind of got what I want around Tassie or South, you know what I mean? So the idea is you don't want people perfecting their team or completing their team too early.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and and I think what you said before around, that buy low, sell high, this is a trading game. You think about it, if it was actual real money and shares or something, essentially that's what you're doing. You're moving the chess pieces, you're building your bank, and you're trying to build by trading. That's what you do.
Yeah, and that's that Anthony Butt.
Yeah.
Jodie Quinlan, some people had a great success with Jodie.
Yeah.
They've bought her for 300, sold her for 900, and they've bought her again at 300.
Yep.
She's
been great for me. Ellen Tormey's been great for me.
Yep.
By having her in my team. Anyone. I know Tiana Ford was the most popular Tasmanian driver for the first 10 to 12 weeks of the game or something. I haven't seen, she may still be, but she went from base price to
over $1 million.
About $1 million, yeah.
She's back to 500 or 600 now.
Yeah. But, people who were savvy and bought up, sold high, use that money to then get someone else. But you had to say, well, I'm prepared to use one of my trades on, given Tiana was doing really well, in order to capitalise on that, you would have had to sell her when she was doing really well.
The other one I did, which worked for me, I traded Donald Harper I got him at 200, sold him at 400 for Stewie McDonald at 400. Stewie McDonald went to $1 million, and then I sold him for $1 million and bought Denny Roberts at $1 million. And really, Denny's a 1.3 and Stewie's a 600. That's the other way to sort of get up to those.
And there's some of the moves I've made too with mine. You just mentioned Stewie McDonald. I know there's a bit of mail about in the absence of Junior Stewie.
He's the one.
Might be the one this week. What's your thoughts?
Well, I haven't gone into it that deep because I didn't have to because I just bought Emily Savelko in.
Yep.
But people will be looking at trading. If you're in the pointy end of it, you can't go around with a 5 or a 0 pointer in WA. So, yeah, they'd be looking at a Stewie McDonald. He's sort of their number 2 man, so I'd imagine he's their number 1.
And that's another move I'm looking at is potentially turning Lindsay Harper into Stewie, having him sitting there to take the points that Junior takes the 0 off Junior, and then upgrading. I've got Tiana Ford and Jack Watson sitting there in Tassie, putting 800 or so that I've got left over on top of one of them and get it to like a Rowan Hillier or something like that. That's potentially what I'm looking at. And then I'm pretty close to having that Wassat line pretty beefy.
The Rowan Hillier issue is he lives an hour north of Launceston, so when the weeks are Hobart, he may not go down to Hobart because it's such a long drive because there'll always be a Launceston meeting that weekend. So if I was taking Rowan Hillier, I would look ahead over the next 5 weeks and how many weeks in fantasy are we playing Hobart over Launceston, if that makes sense.
Mate, if he calls Hobart to Launceston, just above Launceston to Hobart a long drive, he'll get no sympathy from anyone in New South Wales.
I know that. I understand, but I'm just informing people he doesn't go to Hobart as much as he does Launceston.
My God, mate.
Let's get a final. We'll get a final breakaway, and I've had Chris Elford on radio shows 100 times, and 99 he's answered the phone. So hopefully all's well because harness trainers can have issues with horses, crook or whatever, and so hopefully all is well there. A break. We'll back.
A Harness Racing Australia game for all, where you get to do all the driving. Fantasy Harness Racing, live across Australia on SEN Track.
Time to get up, Paul.
It's music to my ears.
The commish. That was a long time ago, that show. I don't reckon.
Oh, it was, wasn't it?
It was like 90s or something.
Yeah.
Just
wasn't exactly a ratings bonanza here in Australia.
I don't think it was, but I watched a few episodes of it, I'm sure of it. Now, most importantly, what's next week? Amanda Rando's back?
Yeah.
I'll be back in Melbourne.
We'll give the listeners a reprieve. We'll get Amanda back on the show. Stop people yawning.
She's pretty popular. She's pretty popular down there. They and I've got her covered, see, so.
People's champion.
I've got her covered. I've got a long lunch lined up. Don't know where yet.
Okay. Pity I didn't get in on that. I might have kept myself nourished.
I might be nice to her and go Squire's Loft because she'll get out of that relatively cheaply, I reckon. But I don't know. You never know. I might go up market her there somewhere.
Okay. All right. I'll leave that to you to sort out. I don't need to get involved
I've got it
in
covered.
your quarrels.
And once I get ahead of you, then we'll have a bet on it as well. Okay. Once I've got that sorted.
All right.
So we'll be back next week. Big afternoon, SEN Track. The boys are going to have plenty of winners. Pity we didn't get Chris Elford, but thank him anyway, because no doubt something's happened and he couldn't take the call. Thanks to Taylah Osmond. Best of luck this weekend with your harness fantasy side and whoever you choose as the captain.